and they're in it till the end to win the division because it's NFC South.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NFC South.
Okay.
New Orleans has loved me, and I love this police department.
Welcome to the Mark Romig Show. Our featured guest this week is one of the most visible leaders in the city, guiding the police department through a pivotal time for New Orleans. But beyond the badge, she brings a unique perspective shaped by experiences across the country and a personal connection to this city. Joining us now, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick. Chief Kirkpatrick, it's great to have you with us.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I'm delighted to be here.
What a great time in the city, huh?
It's a great time. Really, festival season.
Okay, you brought the festival up. I have to ask because I saw the TikTok version of you on the stage at French Quarter Festival. By the way, your TikTok channel is fantastic. Join NOPD.
Thank you.
Yes,
That's a part of our new campaign to increase our ability to get people to look at us. We want to look at them.
The content's fantastic.
Yeah,
so
you.
everyone
Thank
should
you.
go on TikTok and join that one and get into it. But tell me about you being on the stage at the French Quarter Festival. I saw some
wasn't that
singing. I
fun?
saw some dancing.
I got called by the Burgers and John Casbon and said, would I consider going on stage with them for their song Jailhouse Rock? I said, oh my gosh, I'm a Memphis girl, of course.
It's a perfect fit.
Perfect fit. But I was sharing with others that my mom and dad raised me to be a good sport. So I can't sing and I can't dance, but that's not going to stop me.
I don't know. I think you got some moves up there that put some other people to shame.
They were a lot of fun, and I just enjoy the people, and it's good. It's also good police relationships.
Yeah, it
People
is.
should see us as we are you and you are us.
Yeah,
So
and you mentioned those gentlemen who are great citizens. They've done so much for the community. John
have.
Casbon, Darrell Berger, Ryan Berger.
so
the whole
many.
family.
Oh, there are so many
Yeah.
wonderful people in this community, and you named a few who are generous to us, supportive, and so anything I can do in return, I'm all in.
Yeah. You know, you probably had your choice of being anywhere you wanted to be in the country, but you chose New Orleans. What made New Orleans stand out for you?
Well, I appreciate that. I thank you for the compliment. I don't know that I'm that marketable, so to speak, but I do get and did get quite a few recruiter calls for different cities around the country. And I wasn't looking for just any city, and I was teaching for an FBI leadership group at the time and traveling around the country every week teaching. So I wasn't necessarily looking per se, but I got a recruiter call for New Orleans. And I had been recruited for quite a few cities. And every time the recruiters would call, I would say, oh, how nice. And I was always complimented, but I knew immediately I'm not interested. But when I got that call for New Orleans, I went, I think I want to look into New Orleans.
Wow. And it's not as if you didn't have a connection to New Orleans.
That's true.
I've learned through your presentations over the last year or so that there is a very strong connection that you have. Would you describe to our viewers that connection?
Sure. So I grew up in a home where my father was in the hotel industry. And back in 1965, my father, along with business partners and the mayor of New Orleans and Rockefeller, actually, had a partnership, not the mayor, but they opened a downtowner hotel at the corner of Bourbon and Toulouse. Today, that building that my father participated in the construction of and the management of is the Sheraton Four Point. And so my father had a very strong connection to New Orleans and the hospitality industry, and he carried that throughout my adult life. He went in to start other boutique hotels around the country, and he named them the French Quarter Inn. So he always had a heart for the French Quarter in New Orleans.
Wow, that was really your first time into
Yes.
Into the city.
I also came here I grew up in Memphis. Many people know that.
Right up the river?
Right up the river. And I believe my 9th grade class trip was a trip to New Orleans. We got all dressed up. I remember my white gloves, my dress, my little patent leather shoes, and we went to dinner at Antoine's. Oh. So when I actually...
Y'all started off at the top.
When I landed the job here, my sisters came to town, and we all dressed up and went to Antoine's.
That's great. Well, speaking of stepping into that role, you came to New Orleans at a very pivotal time, and I've got to ask, what have you learned most about the city since arriving?
This is the global and amazing city that the reputation stands on. The reputation is global. It is a city that is more welcoming than I have ever experienced. I appreciated that. Love the culture. I love the people. I'm Southern raised in that Mid-South. I'm not, but New Orleans is unique. Spent most of my career on the West Coast. But there is something even more special than you have to experience it. You have to live it to go, this is an amazing city.
With the new administration under Mayor Helena Moreno, you had a choice. Obviously, new administrations come in, people change, but you decided that this was really where you wanted to stay.
Well, I came with, so to speak, an understanding. I've been a chief for many years in many cities, and so one like myself knows that you're tied to an administration. So when the outgoing mayor leaves, I expected that would be when I would be moving on as well, because mayors want to choose their own chiefs.
Sure.
I understand that. That's just normal. I've had the experience being kept by another mayor who did not hire me. The mayor who hired me lost his reelection. The new mayor chose to keep me. I stayed with her for the whole 4-year term. And so I wanted to stay after having the wonderful experience I had here. I thought I'd be a fit. And that the new mayor, Mayor Moreno, offered to allow me to stay. And I want to be her chief.
Right.
There's no doubt of that. I wanted to be her chief. And so I'm just grateful that I'm here for the time being.
Well, there was this major vote of confidence from the citizenry about this as well. So
there was, and that I appreciate that, because I'm not trite. We use terms that seem empty almost, but actually I am a public servant, and so I take that seriously. So I serve the public. And that means the majority of the public, is very important. You should always listen to the minority voices, absolutely, and I have critics. You cannot be in the role of a leader without having critics, and I don't dismiss the critics. But at the same time, I'm know my true north, so no matter what the voices are out there, I just am going to stay steady on being true north.
Well, I think that's what people would want out of a leader.
I think they do. I don't think they want people who are bounced by the winds or the waves.
Right.
And I'm not. I listen, but I am not necessarily fully, I'm not going to be one of those leaders going to lick my finger, put it up in the air, and see which way the wind is blowing today. People want people who are principled, and they do vote whether or not they like those principles, but they want people who are principled and who will stay steady, and that's the way I try to make decisions and lead our community with steady leadership.
And I see servant leadership throughout your tenure, where you're in the mix. You're not just sitting at a desk and giving orders. You're out in the field, and I think that speaks well for what you brought to the table.
I have shared with people, and when I was teaching for the FBI leadership team around the country and trying to teach leadership principles, I was trying to actually live the principles I was teaching. Yeah. But one of them is that the higher you go in a rank, the more relational you need to be, because you're so separated. When you're the chief, I could sit in an office all day, and you could be absolutely out of touch with the people whom you lead. And relationship matters. It matters with the community. It matters with your organization. So you can't be removed from the hi, hello, how are you doing? Relationship matters. People follow people, they obey rank. Mm-hmm. There is a significant difference.
Yeah, and you're in a major rebuilding phase right now. recruitment is so important, and I know you've put a lot of energy into that. Could you describe to the viewers the recruitment program underway now, and why would somebody want to join the police force?
Sure. So let's first talk about why someone would want to be a police officer, because it's truly a noble profession. If you're a person who you're a people person, and you're a principled person, and you're a person who doesn't like necessarily routine, policing would be a great place for you to serve. And so I fell into policing. Quite a few of our officers on the department fell into policing. They didn't know they wanted to be police officers. I was one of them. Mm-hmm. So, but I knew I was a people person, and I also knew that I liked adventure. I liked change. I was of that personality makeup, so it was a perfect fit. Yeah. And it is noble. You are making a difference in people's lives. So why someone would want to join that, that's my why. So let's talk about the recruiting numbers. Yes, it's a national issue for almost every police department in this country. Not only after the pandemic took a hit, but George Floyd took a major hit in law enforcement, because right after the George Floyd event was the defund the policing movement. Mm-hmm. And it was very unpopular to be a police officer. It was almost like equated, I'm old enough, you're probably old enough too, Mark, after Vietnam, when our soldiers returned home. It was an unpopular war. They were villainized. Everybody was being villainized for the harms of a few. Mm-hmm. Kind of the same with policing. Policing became villainized. It lost its nobility.
Became an easy target.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as like World War II, where our parents and grandparents served, they were heroes when they came home. After Vietnam, you were not a hero. But today you see the pendulum swing back, where it is noble and honorable to serve our country, love our soldiers. I think that's going to happen with policing. We're going to see that pendulum swing. However, right now, all law enforcement in the country, most all of us, are in rebound stage, because after George Floyd, those who could leave did leave, who were eligible for retirement, they left. Mm-hmm. And so we also are committed to only hiring the best of the best. So although we have a need for a minimum of 300 more officers, we're actually, in the history of New Orleans, about 600 officers below where we were at its all-time high. Mm-hmm. So, but let's start with 300 and see what we can do.
Right. And you're starting them off in a good way. The benefits are good. The pay is a good starting pay. Very competitive.
Yeah, let me tell folks, because that's one of the advantages of being someone from the outside and has traveled this country. I've been in so many police departments. People do not realize New Orleans, we have great retirement benefits. I've way better than the retirement benefits I got from retiring out of the West Coast. So people need to realize the benefits matter.
Yeah. So the recruitment is underway. It's interesting when you go to, for instance, the TikTok videos, there are a number of ways you can be involved in a police officer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you want to be inside and be at a desk, there's a job for you. But if you want to be on a horse, there's a job for you. If you want to be involved on with our waterways, there's a job for you.
Oh, there are so many different avenues, and not everybody wants to be a commissioned, sworn police officer carrying a gun. Well, we have scientists, we have people who do records and management and data system, we have data analysts. I mean, there are many avenues. You don't just have to be the police, but you're a part of the team, so you're a police department member. Yeah. And there should be pride in that, because we're a part of a team, and not every function. We're one body with different parts. Yeah. But we're one team.
There's a lot of exciting things happening. One is we talked a little bit about you first coming into New Orleans. How did Patch come about?
Well, when I was the chief of police of Oakland, we also I received. 2 little miniature horses, and I had 2 of them. They were a part of the mounted unit. We had not had a mounted unit for many years in Oakland. And it was presented to our department, as a donation 2 little miniature horses. I named them. One was named Little Chief, and the other one was named Sarge. And I have pictures of those horses with me. And so when I came here and we had a mounted unit, I guess they had heard I had a miniature horse. So they surprised me by adding to our mounted patrol officially Patch. And Patch is a miniature horse. He's 18 years old. People think he's a pony. He's not a pony. He's a full-grown horse,
small horse.
But he was born without an eye. And so that's how the name Patch attached to to him. I love him. He has a stall with my name on it and his name.
It's great to see him.
And I love him. And so he is a peacekeeper, and he's the #1 rock star of the police department in this city. Everyone. He has his own Instagram page.
He's got a calming personality, which is great.
Does.
Really great.
He does.
What's one of the things that's really surprised you about New Orleans since you've been here that you didn't expect, but you're like, wow, I didn't realize that?
I would say the big surprise has been, you hear the term, but it's a great term and it fits, how resilient. People from the outside like me, when Katrina hit, my experience was seeing it on CNN. But to be here and see the lived experience and the impact of that in people's lives, and the fact that you can see the infrastructure impact still in this city 20 years ago, and you see the effects in the physical, like I said, the infrastructure of this city. Like the potholes, this type of thing. These are infrastructure issues, and that was like, wow, that's a surprise. Mm-hmm. I had no idea.
But we keep fighting it. We keep improving and keep moving forward.
Yes, you do. Yeah. And New Orleans was built on a swamp. Of course, I took time to learn the history and the foundation and the beginnings of New Orleans, and the fact that we have a city built on top of a swamp is amazing. Also, the tide of the revolution. Who knew? Who knew about the impact of New Orleans in our founding of the American through the Revolutionary War? Those were surprises to me, and I love history.
Yeah, there's a great exhibit at the Historic New Orleans Collection right now,
exactly,
tying the 250th of our nation this year, and how it fits into New Orleans. Really wonderful. I'd like to take you through the official New Orleans questionnaire now.
Okay.
These will be sort of our speed. This is our speed round.
Okay.
First question: what do you think is the best poor boy?
Okay, I'm going to tell you that I am not a big poor boy eater. However, my team is, and I was taken to a restaurant where they loved the poor boy, and I must have looked fabulous, and. Do you want me to name the places?
Well, you don't need to. Was it a seafood? Or was it
No, it wasn't. It was like a hamburger poor boy. I've never seen anything like that.
I've had one of those
and
too.
Boy, they gobbled that thing down, and I must say, I thought, I have to circle back to this place.
Sounds like you've got a lot of hungry souls over there.
I do.
All right, you have an opportunity to see one New Orleans musical artist, dead or alive, in concert. Who would it be? And where would you see that person?
Trombone Shorty.
All right.
Okay, and I'd like to see him like the Sanger.
Very good.
Yeah.
Beautiful venue.
It's a beautiful venue,
right,
and he's a fabulous artist.
What's your favorite New Orleans smell?
Smell? Oh, gosh, I like the smell of the charcoal for the oysters. I like the charcoal thing.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. You prefer Mardi Gras or Jazz Fest?
Mardi Gras.
All right. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
What is your Saints Mount Rushmore? If you had to build a Mount Rushmore with just Saints folks.
I'd put Mrs. Gail Benson on that. I would, because of her contribution to this city and and what she has done with her Saints and with her Pelicans. So I'd put her on there. I would also probably put my pastor. Pastor Fred Luter, love him. I'd put him up there.
That's nice. And I know he's a Saints fan, too.
Yeah, he is a Saints fan. And
Perfect.
I am, too. I'm a Saints and a Pelican fan.
He's done wonderful with Franklin Avenue Baptist.
He's done. I
Yeah.
actually became a member
guy.
there when I came on board,
Very
and I met him during my interview process. I would put the police foundation, the members and the board of directors. They've been nothing but an incredible support to
I like
us.
how you've taken the theme of Mount Rushmore with this. This is good.
Oh, these are the. And
This
I'm
is
going to
good.
miss. There are so many I could actually
Yeah.
put up on my Mount Rushmore, but I think those are
three.
folks that I would say are worthy.
Wonderful.
Archbishop Amon, I think, is also worthy. I also attend temple on occasion. A wonderful Rabbi Sherman and his cantor.
Is there anyone else you'd put on that Mount Rushmore?
Well, it'd be a huge Mount Rushmore because I'd put every face of every officer and professional staff member of our police department on that Mount Rushmore. They are deserving of it.
Perfect. You can build that as big as you want. Chicken or seafood gumbo?
Seafood.
Seafood. What is your favorite New Orleans movie or TV series?
Oh gosh, there was a movie. It's the title I've forgotten, but it was the historical documentation of the connection to JFK's assassination. What is the name of that movie?
Well, there was a movie with Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
He
that's
played
the one
Jim
I'm
Garrison.
talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever that one is, that's the one.
You got it. All right. Neutral ground or sidewalk side?
Neutral ground.
All right. We've talked about your earliest memory of visiting the French Quarter.
Yes.
All right, we've done that one. Dead or alive, who is the one person you'd like to take to lunch, and where in New Orleans would you take that person?
I would take my father, and I would take him to.
And your dad's with us still?
My dad
right?
is with us. He's about to turn 94. And his wonderful memory is his taking his mother, which would be my grandmother, of course, in her 90s to Commander's Palace. And he speaks about it often. That's a wonderful, fond memory he has. So if my dad were ever able to come down, that would
That'd
be where
fantastic.
we would be going.
And
We
you know,
would be
T.
going to
Martin and Lally
Commander's
Brennan would
Palace.
roll out the red carpet.
I would love
for your
to,
dad.
and give him a wonderful memory
Fantastic.
for him and me.
What is the one New Orleans food item you can't live without?
Shrimp and grits.
All right, beautiful. We're doing well here. Okay, here's the final one. In 5 words or less, why do you love New Orleans?
New Orleans has loved me, and I love this police department. I am so blessed to be in this city. I love this police department. I love this city, and that's my why.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Chief Kirkpatrick, thank you for your time and
Thank
for
you,
your
Mark.
perspective and for sharing. This has been wonderful.
I've enjoyed my time with you, Mark.
Will you come back?
Absolutely, I'll be there.
Thank you. We'll have a great rest of the festival season that we're in and into the new year with the Saint season. We had a great draft, as you know. And it's
it was a great draft. I can't wait to see y'all.
Yeah, we're going
I'll
to
be
see
there.
you,
I'll
see you at
slip
the
by
Caesar
and see you.
Superdome. Very
Y'all
good.
will be there.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Great talk there with Chief Ann Kirkpatrick. Coming up now, we're on the table, sponsored by Blue Runner Foods with a true New Orleans original, Vance Vaucresson. We're talking sports on Move the Chains with Juan Kincaid, Saints draft, free agency moves, and what's ahead for the New Orleans Pelicans. And in 5 minutes we check in with President and CEO of the Port of New Orleans, Beth Branch. It's all happening right now. This is the Mark Romig Show. Welcome back. It's now time for On the Table, sponsored by Blue Runner Foods. And today we're joined by a true New Orleans original. His family has been part of the city's food culture for generations. Vance Vaucresson, it's so good to see you. And a fellow Brother Martin Crusader.
Oh, yes, yes.
I had to put that in there.
We had to.
Yes.
We had to represent.
So thank you very much. Look, you're just coming off of arguably one of the world's greatest festivals. How did you do?
Well, you know, Jazz Fest is always a challenge, especially how big it has gotten. I would say the Jazz Fest is now on par with being it's a destination festival. I mean, we always hear about Bonnaroo, Coachella, all these. Jazz Fest is right up there because you get people I've grown up seeing just so many people just gravitate to this festival. And then, of course, thanks to AEG and that partnership, it's brought a level of corporate, engagement.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things where for the locals who really get a chance to still go, you're seeing a world-class festival.
Yeah.
When you go.
And it's part of your family's. I mean, for years and years, you and Julie, your wife, and what is that like, knowing that it's the entire family unit that's making this magic happen?
You know, I was born. I was a baby at the first festival. My mom brought a bassinet and had me out there while she ran the booth. My dad just brought the sandwiches from the restaurant on Bourbon. And I just grew up with this little festival. And it's like the festival and I grew up together. Because in the beginning, there were times when I would just run around the festival as a kid with some of the vendors, you know, just hanging out. I used to hang out with a guy who used to push a cart, and he would sell these little metal trombone kazoos. They were shaped like a trombone, and I always had to get one every year, and I had tons of them and broke them all. But this was my life. I got to know the entire fairgrounds intimately, from a place playing in the stables, going behind this thing. It was great, but then just to see, for us to stay along with this, my dad was just felt like he was a part of the founding of it. I mean, one of the brainstorming meetings for this festival started when we had our restaurant on Bourbon. My dad and his partner, Larry Borenstein, who started Preservation Hall, had just a lunch meeting with Alan Jaffe, who was managing the Preservation Hall, and Borenstein, who owned it, and George Wein, who was a good friend of Borenstein, who had just come from Newport News Jazz Festival, were having lunch, and they just started talking about the possibility.
Yeah.
Why doesn't New Orleans have this type of festival? And they just kind of brainstormed and talked about this and that and the other. And from what my dad told me, he says, yeah, so after that, he left the meeting, George. We hadn't talked to him in a while. During that time, he went and talked to a 19-year-old record store manager by the name of Quint Davis. He knew his dad. And then Allison Minor, he brought her in to help. Hey, we're going to put on this new festival. And he said, hey, Sonny, you want to be a vendor? And so they asked him to come sell hot sausage, chorizo, po' boys. So and the health department loves this story. So we would make the po' boys at the restaurant, wrap them in foil, and cart them over to the festival, and then just sell them straight out the booth. So, you know, nowadays the health department's on site and they check everything, they temperature check everything. It's the only festival in the state where the health department is on site. I got to give kudos to Jazz Fest for that.
That's amazing. It's a great story. Thank you for bringing us back. You know, your family for generations has been involved and really have put your mark on it. People come to the Jazz Fest, I know, to hear the music, but I think also to get your sandwich.
Hey, we're thankful. We're thankful. You know, we tell people, you know, this is the only food that was at the original festival, the hot sausage.
That's amazing.
And we're just thankful to continue this tradition.
Well, beyond Jazz Fest, your sausage has made it into some of the most iconic kitchens, including Dooky Chase. Tell us the progress of that. How did that come about?
You know, my grandfather serviced Miss Chase, you know, and they've always been about putting out authentic Creole products with authentic Creole ingredients. Right. And she was like, my gumbo needs chorizo. And we make a style of hot sausage, as they call it now, but culturally it was called chorizo, which is a word people are listening to and saying that sounds familiar. Well, the Spanish version is considered chorizo, so you hear that more often. And we're just thankful that, you know, the families stayed committed to keeping their recipes consistent, and they've bought from us for umpteen years. So
that's amazing. Mm-hmm. And you can always get a good meal at Dooky Chase's restaurant, partly because of your sausage. You embody Creole New Orleans. How does your food help us tell the story of that culture?
Well, you know, our culture, Creole has been unfortunately misrepresented. And one of the things that I've taken on personally from just talking to people about what Creole is, it's a cultural designation. It's been racialized, unfortunately. So a number of people are a little confused as to their own participation in that culture. They feel like if you're Creole, based on a definition you hear floating around, a mixed race, born of the colony, you know, well, it's truly just born of the colony. Any French or Spanish colony, Criollo if it's Spanish and Portuguese, and Creole if it's French, anywhere in the world. If you're born of the colony, you're Creole. And then now, with the etymology of it, it's changed over time, the meaning, but we're trying to make people understand the true meaning of it, because if we as those that are born here really grasp that identity of Creole and realize that all these ethnicities that came through this wonderful port, the Sicilians, the Vietnamese Laotians, the Irish, the Africans, so many that have come in, they've all contributed to what Creole culture is. If we just look at our culture and holistically and see how many people contributed, if we back out and give respect to all those groups, we can have a place which existed 150 years before the English bought us from the Louisiana Purchase. Yeah. We can go back to that true utopian type place where we can all live and be respectful to each other.
Thank you for that. Got to ask you, what's your favorite way to eat your sausage?
You know, the po' boy, you put on po' boy lettuce, tomato, baby, with a little pickle, and then you sit there and you throw a little Creole mustard on there, which we make our own now because we just, you know, we're loyalists. I have no problem with Zatarans, but when y'all sold out to McCormick, I said, you know what? We got to maintain Creole mustard here, and so we've been making our own. So a little Creole mustard, a little mayonnaise, and you sit down there and you sit and you just take that first bite. And you got to get your napkin because all them ingredients going to get all on your mouth, and you map that, and that little pepper going to hit my palate. That's heaven to me.
I knew I should have asked you to bring me a sandwich. I knew it. I
thought about it. I said, no, I don't want them to kick me out the building because then everybody's going to come down the hall smelling it, saying, oh, who's got this good food?
I know. I'm back at Jazz Fest. How do you balance staying true to the tradition and yet keeping up with the, changing palates and the new generation? I mean, you've got something very, very much of a solid hit.
Yeah. It's a challenge. I tell you, this French Quarter Fest, we did French Quarter Fest right before we did the 2 weekends of Jazz Fest, and there've been some wonderful restaurants that have entered into the French Quarter Fest and have come up with some great new ideas. I got to give kudos to Chicken's Kitchen, Willie Mays, Nori guys. Some of them that came in and created these new dishes. I mean, people just came flocking. So here we have an old historical dish that's been at every festival. Well, now you got us thinking, how can we tweak it? How can we maybe put something else that can be somewhat new and refreshing for people to come and say, hey, let me try that. It's always a challenge, but we always want to make sure that we represent culturally and historically a consistency and an authenticity. So when people come in town and you taste our products, it is a symbol of what has always been a representation of our cultural foodways.
There's a lot of German influence in your heritage as well. Talk about how that has influenced what you're doing.
Well, my great-grandfather, Levinsky Vaucresson, which he has like some French and Polish, Jewish, from that particular surname within his family. And then, of course, the Alsace-Lorraine region of France where he came from, you had a lot of influence from the Austrian, the Germans, the French, because that area was annexed over time. So many different people influenced it. So our sausage making is influenced from that French-Polish background, but we have a number of family, and there's such a great influence from the German coast of Louisiana, around the Lafayette area, where you get a number of families, Polish and Jewish influence in that Acadiana area, which really made that sausage making so legendary in that area. The andouille, the boudin, the other sausages they make smoked, you see the German influence from that area. And so what's interesting is you have so many, our surnames tell so many stories. So you get a number of people who, when you get to talking, especially at the cafe, people come in and we ask you, what's your surname? Because people don't understand their connection culturally and ethnically to the area and how their families could have contributed. And so we've had people come in and they start talking to people. We mention, certain names, and then these heads turn and say, hey, I'm a Romig too. And they say, oh, well, so-and-so. Next thing you know, they're related or they find some commonalities. Yeah. And that, which now today, as we know, we call cell phone society. If we can just pick up our heads from our phones and maybe talk to the person next to us or get to know somebody, you'd be amazed. Those 6 degrees of separation are much less in New Orleans.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Speak about your brand for a moment and your location on St. Bernard. Talk to us about the sausage company there and what that does to help extend the brand and what can people expect when they go there.
Well, we are. My grandfather, I'm third generation, so my grandfather was in the 7th Ward of New Orleans, where we are on St. Bernard Avenue, and within a 3-block radius from different buildings he had since 1899. So we're 126, 127 years old. And so after Katrina took us out and I had to rebuild, it wasn't about finding another place in another area with maybe tax incentives or whatever. I had to put the roots back in the 7th Ward because it means a lot, not only to our family, but to all those other families that have a history in that area. But also, post-Katrina, the area's changed, highly gentrified, a lot of different entities moving in. You have to have a stakeholder or someone there who can provide a cohesion to the history, to the neighborhood, to the other people that have stayed, and just kind of also help to make people understand, come back, so that you can invest in this area, this area, and contribute to not only its commercial pathways, but also its residential.
Yeah. Tell us about the store. What can people
Well,
find?
right now, our current entity is a cafe deli at 1800 St. Bernard Avenue. But we started about 3 years ago, right out of COVID, so I'll really say 2 years of activity. We brought in Chef Bunny Young, who is a 7th Ward native who has learned from her grandmother and her mother some of the wonderful dishes, and she's head of our kitchen with her Crawbabies brand, and she has just turned over wonderful dishes that people can come in. You can come get smothered okra with catfish, etouffee, yakami, filet gumbo, all of these wonderful things which are traditional dishes that when you eat them, most people say, oh, you remind me of what my grandmama used to give me when I was young. So we're thankful for that. But we also have our deli portion because my grandfather was a butcher by trade, and we've always provided our sausages to the community and local restaurants. And for a time, we were in the local grocery stores distribution, which I do intend to get back to. But we make some of our hot chorizo sausage. We make green onion, crawfish. We make hog's head cheese. You gotta have somebody from the Creole culture making hog head cheese, baby. And we're gonna keep it going so they can come and get it because it's good for them. They come and they say, ooh, baby, give me a little slab so I can take it home.
So I can come and get that po' boy that you described for me a few minutes ago.
I see you salivating over there, Mark.
I know.
And I don't want them to zoom in because I know you don't have anything
The
to
next
wipe your
time,
mouth.
I will ask you to bring that sandwich with you.
You got that.
Yes, sir. Well, Vance, this is a great story, and thank you for continuing the legacy. I can see it. The passion is in your face, and I know you carry that everywhere you go. Thank you so much. And check out the store at
1800 St. Bernard Avenue
St.
in
Bernard
the
Avenue.
heart of the 7th Ward. Tuesday through Saturday right now, we have a lunchtime menu, 11 to 3. Please come see us. We also have our sausages and deli products available. Some mustards that we've made. Of course, I talked about the Creole mustard. And we also have green onion sauce and mango mustard sauce. But we also have some wonderful cakes that my wife makes from scratch. So when you come in, you don't only get your plate food, you get your sausage to go, your cheese, but then you hit your sweet tooth, too, with some of them good old cakes.
Hats off to Julie.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, thanks for being with us. I
Thank you
deeply
so much.
appreciate it, and continue best wishes.
You too.
Move the chains. All right, y'all, time to move the chains and talk some sports. It's been a busy stretch for both the Saints and the Pelicans, from the draft to free agency to big coaching search. There's a lot to get into it, and we're going to do that with Juan Kincaid, the sports director at Fox 8 here in New Orleans. Juan, great to have you back for a second time.
Nice to be back. Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Let's just start with some rapid-fire
Okay.
questions. Rookies most likely to start week one.
I mean, Jordan Tyson. If your 8th pick overall is not starting, then there's a problem. Because, this one thing I like that this draft class, this front office did is they said we want to address the offense right away to help out our quarterback, Tyler Shough. And with Jordan Tyson, if he is as brilliant as a pro as he was in college, that'll be fantastic.
Good. With players from the draft and free agency, one position group that still needs help.
Cornerback. You don't know what you have there. Losing Alante Taylor is a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, you picked up a guy in free agency, but, I think you still need to address that area.
Okay. Give me your bold prediction for minicamp. What's one storyline coming out of it?
That Bryce Lance is a good player, even though he came from an FCS school. He's along, and he's going to be a guy that's going to contribute this year. And we'll see his talent in rookie minicamp.
All right, we'll look for Bryce. Over, under, Saints win total this season?
You've got a last place schedule. I'm going to say they win 8 games. and they're in it till the end to win the division because it's NFC South.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NFC South.
Okay.
Where 500 ball will get you where you want to go.
One word to describe the Saints team right now.
Developing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the message coming
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
front office. You've had a few days to sit on it as far as the overall draft. What's your takeaway? Just how would you describe that?
Well, for me, I think, again, the important thing is they went in with a direction they wanted to go with these draft picks. 5 of the 8 guys were offensive players. 4 of the 8 guys were guys that catch the ball. And so you look at this roster last year, and what they lacked were difference makers in the receiving area outside of Chris Olave. Rashid Shaheed moves on to Seattle. Then you got a bunch of guys you can't even name off the top of your head trying to catch balls from Tyler Shough. And so I think Mickey took a really good approach this year by saying, you know what, we recognize end of the year where we lacked the most, which was offense. We've got to get more pieces around Tyler Shough. And so I love the fact that they took that approach into the draft and went after the players they wanted. You know, so that to me was the best part about the draft. And I like the draft they've gotten this year. They've got guys that can be difference makers right away.
Good. Talk about the running backs. What do you see? What's
Well,
happening
I mean,
there?
to me, the running back situation will come down to Alvin Kamara's decision on how he sees himself in this offense now. For so many years, he's been the top dog, the lead dog, with everyone else filling in behind him. Now he's being asked to reverse that role and fill in behind Travis Etienne. And then I think they can be a really good 1-2 combination. I think it can be really used very well if they decide to make him a third down back and bring him out of the backfield against linebackers. That's a mismatch for the Saints. He's not breaking off 15, 20-yard runs anymore. Running back, Father Time waits for no one, so he's 30, and running backs go down at that point. Or the conception is that they go down at 30. And so I think he and A-Chain can be a really good 1-2 combination, just like he and Mark Ingram were.
Yeah.
He and Latavius Murray.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. You throw the defense off a bit, putting them in there, like when they would bring Taysom Hill in, the defense all of a sudden had to adjust, and sometimes they didn't know how to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, Taysom was a bit of a different character, so you knew that Taysom could either tuck it and run it, or he could throw the ball as well. But with AK, the advantage that he still has is going one-on-one with a linebacker. I think he beats any linebacker out there because he's just so shifty like that.
Yeah.
And then but the most important thing with this is that he's not being relied on as your first and second down running back to get those tough yards. That's the one thing Taysom would take off his shoulders a little bit, or when Mark Ingram is here, take off his shoulders, those between the tackle runs, between the guard runs, those pounding. So AK didn't have to deal with that anymore with A-Chain in there. So I think this could be a win-win for the Saints. But again, it goes back to, will Kamara be okay in the new role the Saints are asking him to do?
Very good.
And I'm also not of the disbelief that the Saints aren't trying to shop him. I mean, he's got a year left on his contract. I mean, I think he would be a valuable piece for some other team out there. What compensation would you get in return? Probably no more higher than a 5th-round pick because he's on the back end of his career. So I'm not so convinced the Saints aren't trying to shop him to see what else they can get out there.
Good. Are you excited about the Hall of Fame coming up?
I'm stoked. I'm stoked. Going up for that. I can't wait. Last time I was there was when Ricky Jackson was going in, and I got a chance to tour the Pro Football Hall of Fame facility just a little bit.
The museum
Not enough
itself.
to just say I have like all these memories, but I want to go back up and kind of walk through it for a couple hours and just see it. And
Yeah.
it's a special place. It really is. I mean that, and I haven't been to the Hall of Fame in New York, the Baseball Hall of Fame. I want to do that one as well. So I'm a bit of a history buff when it comes to stuff like that. So
Well, it's going to be exciting for
I'm looking
everybody.
forward to it. Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
special.
terrific.
It really is.
Let's switch gears to the New Orleans Pelicans.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the head coaching search right now?
Well, I mean, I think they've interviewed some guys that you either have there are pluses and minuses about all guys. Rajon Rondo appears to be the favorite for all the fans, and who knows what the front office is thinking, but you don't bring a guy in to interview them with no head coaching experience unless you're really interested in that player. Obviously, was a really good basketball player, floor general, and you could see that in his play. When he played with the Pelicans, one of the only 2 times they won a playoff series. And so he led that team then.
Yeah.
I think he'd be an interesting hire because I go back to Willie Green. I really liked Willie, but I said 3 years ago, Willie, to me, had taken them as far as he could take them for a guy that's never been a head coach before. You only have so many plays you can draw up. And it started to show that, okay, what Willie was saying was falling on deaf ears with the players, because they were realizing we're getting to a certain point, we're hitting a wall, and we're done. I wonder if that happens with Rondo. I mean, it's easy to couch coach. Oh, he should have done this, should have done that. If I had been in a situation, I would have done this. But once you're in the situation, how are you going to handle late game situations? So you won't know that with Rondo. He will obviously draw from a lot of his situational basketball knowledge, having played the game. But being the coach is a lot different than playing the game. So we'll see what happens with Darvin Ham, another guy that's interviewed for the job. I don't know. I mean, I personally like Borrego. I do like James Borrego. I think if you give him a full season, starting training camp, let him go for it. I think he has success with this basketball team. I think they trust him. I think he's honest with them about where they need to be better. Doesn't sugarcoat. But I just think this team, it doesn't really matter who you have as a head coach. They need a better roster build. There's the talent on that team. There's talent, yes, but it's not top 10 talent in terms of when you bring the team together. They're not one of the best teams in the NBA, in the Western Conference. You've got to get better development out of Zion. He's got to give you more than just putting his head down, getting to the basket. I mean, there's so many things that aren't right with this basketball team that a simple head coach will help, but he won't fix the problems of this basketball team. They need a roster change up a little bit, in my opinion.
So the new coach, whoever that person is, needs to be a technician as well as sort of an inspirer. I mean, he needs to get the team working together.
Yeah, I mean, I think every coach needs to be able to inspire his players. But I also think, even more important than that, they need to be a good X's and O's coach, because I think this team, where it's lacked is, again, I go back to Willie Green. There were times where he just did not draw up the right play. It's not going to happen every time, but the X's and O's part of it, it's tough. It's challenging. You're facing some good teams in the West. Man for man, the Pelicans have a lot of talent compared to these other teams, but I just think their roster, the way it's fixed, I think they need bigger size down. They need more shooting. You can't live on 2-point buckets and hoping that a couple guys can knock some threes down. Well, you got to be more of a 3-point shooting team. And while they've tried to do that with Willie, getting 40, 50 3-points up a game, they're only making about 20% of them. So I just think the roster, the way it sits right now, it needs to be improved. Some pieces here and there. And I think once that happens, you'll start to see this team blossom a little bit, no matter who the head coach is.
Good. Anything on the college scene that you can hit us with? How you think
LSU,
Tulane and LSU going to do?
Well, LSU baseball just won to sweep their first SEC opponent all year long.
I saw that.
So that's a positive. I think Tulane's
Gamecocks.
Struggling. Yes, Gamecocks. So I don't know if it's obviously a good thing that LSU swept and got a little confidence back, but it just tells you how bad South Carolina is. They fired Paul Manerio in the year. They just weren't a very good baseball team, and you got 2 more series left against Georgia and Florida. Yeah. So if you're going to win, baseball is a funny thing because it's about confidence and momentum. And if you can strike while the iron is hot at one time, you can go all the way through. We've seen Tulane make the NCAA tournament with 2 of the last 3 years because they won their conference tournament. They got hot. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made it. So it is about getting hot at the right time of the season. Yeah. So I don't know if Tulane's going to do it this year. They're struggling.
You want to project into football season for LSU and Tulane?
I think Tulane's going to struggle. I said this.
New coach
who hasn't really proven he can win. Didn't win much at Southern Miss. Won 1 season. The rest of that was just not very good. I think I've been saying Tulane's going to take a step back. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to ride this momentum from Willie Fritz to John Summerall. It's not going to stay up there. And I look at the player personnel they brought in. I mean, you've got 5, 6 guys competing at quarterback. I'm just like, come on, it's not going to end well. And I'm not a big believer in Coach Hall based on what he's done as a head coach in previous places like Southern Miss. So I think they'll drop back to about 8 wins, which once upon a time, 8 wins was fantastic for Tulane. Go back to the Chris Selfo eras. I think LSU wins 9 games and they scratch their way into the college football playoff. Because, man, if you don't, my gosh, you spent $40 million on a roster that did exactly the same thing that the previous coach's roster did, which is didn't make the college football playoff. So we'll see.
All right, we're going to have you back as we get closer to the season.
I'm surrounded by LSU grads in my office, and I'm the one
Reminding them?
reminding them that, y'all keep saying this every year,
All right. Well, you're always very honest and straightforward, and we
I
appreciate
try
that.
to be.
Thank you so very much. Okay, the Port of New Orleans is one of the biggest economic drivers in the region, playing a major role in trade, tourism, and jobs across Louisiana and beyond. Now joining us for 5 minutes plus to break it all down is the president and CEO, Beth Branch. Hello, Beth.
Hey, Mark. Great to see you.
I'm so glad you came in.
Thanks.
When people hear Port of New Orleans, they may think of ships and cargo, but it's so much bigger than that.
It
so
is
much
bigger.
bigger. How do you describe the port's role in New Orleans and really just this part of the world?
Well, I think, first of all, you're absolutely right. We're not just about cargo, we're about people movement as well, since we have one of the largest cruise operations in the country here. So we have cargo, both containerized and non-containerized, but we also have real estate, about 2,500 acres of industrial real estate. We have a railroad that we own and operate. And we also have, very importantly for the city of New Orleans and for the country, we have cruise operations here. So really it's quite a diverse portfolio, and we're really lucky to be anchored right here at the mouth of the Mississippi in the great state of Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, the reason New Orleans was founded was because it sits
Absolutely.
on this magnificent river.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
On a day-to-day level, how does the port impact jobs and trade and even everyday life for people across Louisiana?
It's so funny.
And really the Gulf South.
And when you're in New Orleans, especially, you have this really large port complex. You have the water, the wharf, a bit of laydown area, a railroad, a flood wall. And so that flood wall sometimes separates us. It does separate us physically from the city. Right. And I would venture to say that there are probably a lot of people in New Orleans who live here that don't know about all the activity that happens on the other side of that flood wall. But it's really, really critical. And it's not just the jobs that are created in New Orleans itself, but the operations that we run are responsible for about 14,000 jobs statewide, or New Orleans in the Tri-Parish area, and about 122,000 statewide. So when you think about the jobs that are created, it's not just the person who's operating the crane on the port. It's also the forklift driver at the distribution center in Shreveport, where the goods have come through New Orleans. So it's a multiplier effect. I always think about Savannah, and Savannah years and years and years ago was really just Savannah, until they gave Kmart land to build an import distribution center. And we all know now Savannah is synonymous really for the East Coast with trade and transportation. And that's really what we're trying to do here as well. We have a really unique opportunity to build that type of Gulf Coast presence that Savannah and others have on the East Coast, but it really is a jobs driver.
Yeah, and the fact that you acquired and now operate the Public Belt Railroad, how does that fit into the movement of goods?
Sure. Well, really critical. So our state only has 4 million, 5 million people in it, so it's not a large consumption area just immediately. So the real critical piece there is being able to get goods into the country and into the heartland of the country through our gateway, New Orleans, but also all the export goods that are coming, whether it's ag or energy or all the number of things that are getting exported to the United States, coming down either on the railroad, on the river, truck, etc. But the railroad is really, really unique because within this country, there is not a single port, not one, that has access and direct connections with every single national railroad. We call them Class 1 railroads, but
Right.
we're the only port. And so the NOPB, the New Orleans Public Belt, which is what we call our short line railroad, it's a switching railroad. What we do is we take cargo off and on ships, put it on the rail, and then we connect it or interchange it
With one of the
these
other
6 that take it
railroad
out into the rest of the country. Yeah. So we can get anywhere in the country from New Orleans. You can't say that about the West Coast, and you can't say that about the East Coast either. So really, it's a really, really special thing that we have. And I guess I would also like to say, because it's so recently, the reason that we have that railroad is that we did a swap with the city. Well, not quite a swap, but let's just call it a swap. So the city took on a couple of wharfs, we took on the railroad, and those wharfs have now been converted into this new magnificent activation of the waterfront for this great city
Right,
that we
the
live
Gold
in.
Ring Woldenberg
I
Riverfront
mean,
Park,
it's
which
just
opened.
It just opened, and
Yeah.
French Quarter Fest was hosted there, and it just is, so what an amazing thing when you can have an urban railroad and you can have an activated waterfront, and all sort of works together
Yeah.
well.
And
So
people,
really excited.
I remember back at the World's Fair in '84, there was an opportunity for people to kind of experience the riverfront for the first time.
So amazing.
And now they're really able to see it at just a whole nother level with the wharf space that you just discussed. Ships are getting larger, so how are we adapting to that?
They are. The first day I was in office, my office is positioned right underneath the Crescent City Connection Bridge. And I looked up, and right at that moment, a container ship was coming under that bridge. And from my vantage point, it looked like it had about 3 feet of clearance. So the Mississippi gives us 50 feet of water, which these large container ships need to be able to come into port. But what we also need is with these vessels to have air draft, so the height of the vessel.
Yeah.
So that's impacted. And we know that as these vessels get larger and larger and larger, we have a constraint. And
Because that ship was heading up to Napoleon Avenue, right?
heading up to Napoleon Avenue, it needed to get underneath the bridge. Now, our cruise ships stay on the other side of that bridge, but our other vessels go underneath that bridge. So as these vessels get larger and larger and larger, we have to be able to accommodate for that. So we're building a new container terminal. It is the first greenfield development in decades in this country. We've received $300 million from the federal government. We have 2 private partners that are investing about $800 million. And the state has put in about $180 million on this as well. So in St. Bernard Parish, which is one of our 3 jurisdictions, will be building this new container terminal, which, again, very, very impactful for this region, for the state, for the city, et cetera.
And for jobs.
And for jobs. It's huge for jobs.
So Napoleon Avenue remains in operation. That this will be able to handle the larger ships, as you said, that can't get underneath the Mississippi River Bridge.
So, yes, and we're not moving away from New Orleans by going to St. Bernard Parish. That's obviously a really important point to make. It gives us really an unprecedented opportunity to repurpose what was containers into a contiguous non-containers, what we call break bulk or project cargo wharfs. And that's really important in Louisiana because you'd have to have been asleep at the wheel to not know that Louisiana is firing on all pistons right now in terms of economic development.
Oh, yeah.
And
With
so
Susan Bourgeois and the governor and just the posture that they've taken to ensure that people understand Louisiana's open business. So May is Maritime Month, and you are hosting a very large celebration of tall ships and gray hulls, our military vessels, coming up. Correct?
Well, we in the city and a lot of others, and you're front and center on that, Mark. you're herding all the cats to make sure this happens. But
knock on wood, we're excited as you are.
Yeah,
but it's going to be magnificent.
Thank you. It really is. We are so excited about this. So, and it just so happens that Maritime Month and Sail 250 coincide with each other. So we've been celebrating Maritime Month at the Port of New Orleans for about 10 years. It's been around for a little while longer, but we've been celebrating it for about 10 years. And it's really our time to say thank you to our police officers, to our staff, to our waterfront operations folks. This day, May 4th, is actually International Firefighters Day. So we have Operate a Tug, as you know, and we have about 9 people on that team and so forth. So really, it's just a great time to say thank you to our teams, and not the least of whom our waterfront operations team, because as you and I know very, very well, in order to bring these 6 magnificent tall ships to New Orleans as the beginning of Sail 250 and the celebration of our country's birthday.
I know we're fortunate to be one of 5 ports that are part of that celebration.
And not only part of the 5 ports, we are the first. We are the inaugural.
We're the inaugural one.
And
It
we're the only
happens
one
here
on
first.
we're the only one on the Gulf, which I think is really really exciting.
So tall ships will be docked along Bienville Street.
Denville, that's right. On the
And
wharfs.
the gray hulls will be from Poland Avenue up to Thalia, Arado.
I think around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it'll be available for public tours May
Really,
27th
really exciting.
through May 31st.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's some fireworks. There's all sorts
Fireworks.
of. There's
It's
all
gonna
sorts
be-
of just
it's
yeah.
gonna be magnificent.
And to have that kind of access to that type of flotilla of tall ships
Yeah.
is just it's superb.
Special thanks to the work that your crew has done to pull together the upgrades or restoration of the dock space so that we
Appreciate
could
it.
host these ships. The governor, state of Louisiana, and I know New Orleans and Company and the port were part of
Partnered
that,
to make
along
sure
with
that-
Audubon Nature Institute. So,
Yep.
thank you for proving once again that we're a port that can welcome these international vessels.
It's the great thing about New Orleans, Mark. I mean, when things need to happen, everyone comes together in a way that I've never seen anywhere else that I've worked. It's been very, very interesting that everyone just said, "This is going to
do
get
it.
done.
We gotta do it,
We got to
right?
do it. This is going to get done."
Let's talk about the cruise industry,
Sure.
the importance that has for our economy. Everyone's so excited when they see one of the large cruise ships, and
Yep.
Tell us about that and that experience that you've
Yeah,
had.
so I have to personally say that after COVID, I didn't know that there was ever going to be a cruise ship again. And we are now 5 years, 6 years post-COVID. And last year we had our highest passenger movement count ever.
Congratulations.
So over 1.3 million passengers coming in and out of New Orleans, which is just super, super excited. We're on track to break that record again this year. And really, quite frankly, our constraint is berth space. And so we're starting to look at, again, where and how to build a third cruise terminal. I'm very, very excited about starting to peel back that a little bit and see what we can do. We're obviously have some partners in some of our cruise ship lines that would be interested in taking a look at a home port type of situation. So we'll see. We're gonna
very
keep
good.
keep pursuing that. But
I have taken one of those cruises out of New Orleans, and
And?
it is magnificent for about 8 hours to get to the Gulf, and then how dramatically the water changes, and it's just a beautiful way to see
Yeah,
the
it really
boot
is.
of Louisiana
It
for
is.
sure.
Well, and I think we're the only cruise cruise operation in the United States that has not just the ocean-going cruises, but also the river cruises. So we've got both of those
That's right.
as something that we offer as New Orleans. And frankly, people want to come to New Orleans. I'm not going to name all the other cruise locations in the Gulf, but people want to be in New Orleans. I mean, it's
like a double vacation.
it's like a double vacation. They come in, they stay, they go to French Quarter, they do all the things they do here that we love to do. Maybe they went to Jazz Fest this weekend or French Quarter Fest like weekend before. And then off they go, and then they come back. And I mean, it's really
Rinse
a
and
great-
repeat. They'll stay
rinse
maybe
and repeat.
another
But
night or two.
But in terms of economic impact, it's hundreds of millions of dollars in hotels and food and, sort of the impact.
And they're
of the city.
supplying the ships while they're here.
That's absolutely right.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
lot of goods being purchased to
Absolutely.
go on board those vessels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there something about the port that most people would be surprised to learn?
Oh gosh, you'd probably be surprised to learn that we have our own police force. We've got about 44 officers that really work together throughout with other agencies in the city, but really focused on our maritime assets and making sure that that is, that we're secure and so forth. We do have secure facilities here. So I think people are a little surprised about that. They're surprised that we have a fireboat. They just think cranes and, machinery and all the tough stuff. But I think they're a little surprised at what it takes to actually make the whole thing go every day.
Yeah, that's it's just a magnificent, I think, misunderstood aspect of our riverfront is that there's so much activity happening on the other side of that flood wall.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
If you're fortunate enough to get on the other side of the flood wall
Yeah.
and ride that road, I know that's not something we tell people to do on a
No,
regular basis.
they actually can't
'cause
get in
there's
there.
a lot of work going on back there. But
Yeah,
can't
absolutely.
thank you enough for being the leader that you are and
it's a pleasure.
pulling everything together, particularly as we build out lower area, the St. Bernard Parish
That's
port.
right.
It's
Really
going to be
important.
magnificent.
Generational.
Very good. So, got to ask you, and people ask me all the time, you think you're going to get Disney Cruise Lines back there?
Oh my goodness. Well, what I would say is that we are in conversations with operators all the time. So let's see. We certainly are.
I'm sure you get that question.
Yes. So
Well, we're very happy.
yeah.
I mean, Carnival has done such a wonderful job here.
They have done.
And
Yep, they
you
have
can
done.
mention the other ones as well.
Yeah.
That are
Well,
part.
Royal Caribbean, actually, Carnival, Norwegian, American.
Yeah.
I mean, they've all just done. They've been really, really great partners of ours. But we're actually in very almost weekly conversations right now with Royal Caribbean because, as you may know, in November they're bringing the largest vessel they've ever brought here. And they are now going from a seasonal, 6 month a year, to a year-round operation. So we're super, super excited about that
Magnificent.
partnership. Yep.
That's magnificent.
Absolutely.
Well, again, thank you so very much for this insight, helping us understand about the work that goes down at the port, and for the work that you're doing to keep New Orleans connected to the rest of the globe as you do.
Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate it very much.
Well.
You know, with Mother's Day coming on Sunday, we wanted to do something a little special for the Mark Romig Show. Figured, what could we do that was really special? Well, I know something really special. I'm interviewing my mother. My mom, Janice Romig. How are you, Mom?
I'm fine.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Really, I have so many questions I could ask, but we'll just keep it
Please.
keep it keep it straight here. All right, growing up in New Orleans, what are your first memories?
Well, I was born at Hotel Dieu, and we lived right on Miro Street, right in Cleveland, off of Galvez. So we were there till I was 7 years old, and we moved to Lakeview.
Wow, that's basically what parish was that? Sacred.
That was St. Joseph
St.
Parish.
Joseph Parish. Okay.
You know, in the big St. Joseph Parish
Yeah.
church, and then we moved to Lakeview with St. Dominic.
And you went to St. Dominic?
I went to St. Joseph first for 2 years, and then St. Dominic through all the way to 8th grade, and then I went to Sacred Heart Academy.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that Sacred Heart, you used to take public transportation.
My dad would drop me at Palmer Park, and I would get the streetcar and go around.
So a streetcar would go up Carrollton.
Up Carrollton, round to St. Charles, and then after school I'd catch the streetcar downtown to my dad's office at the Public Service Building and stay there till he came home from work.
So that public service building is that
It's
where
now the
Nopsey
Hotel,
Hotel?
right.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So let's go to you and Dad, my dad Jerry. How did y'all
Yeah,
meet?
yeah. Well, we never really met formally. Our parents went to the same OB doctor, James Nix, and my brothers were 3 brothers ahead of me, and he had 3 brothers ahead of him. Well, he was one of the 3 there. And they met at the OB office and became friends, and then their husbands met and they became friends, so we never formally met. You know, we'd go to weddings and different things for families.
But there was one time he did
One
actually
time,
ask you
I
out.
went to the drugstore after dancing at Hazelnuts Dancing School every Monday night, and the bunch of us would go over there and have ice cream, and he walked in his sailor suit. He was in the reserves. And, you know, he said, hello, how's your mother, how's your father, like that. And then the next day, he called me for a date, and then that was 3 years later we were married.
Wow.
I think he thought I had matured, not grown tall. I never was tall, but I had matured, so he figured he could ask me out, because he was 2 years older than me.
Oh, okay. Go back to the dancing school just for a moment, because you know we've interviewed Brian Batt.
I know, well, his grandmother was Hazel Nuss, who had the Hazelnuts Dancing School. And that's how I met his mother, Gail, and became great friends with her.
And there's a wedding story there with you and Gail, right? Where she
Yeah,
was in
was
your
in my
wedding.
wedding, yeah.
She was in your wedding. All right, so Dad asked you out. 3 years later, you're getting married.
Right.
You married where?
St. Dominic in the gym, because they didn't have the big church then. And the church was the gym. So we were married there and had a home reception.
Okay. So you came back
At a home on Memphis Street.
right, Lakeview.
Lakeview.
Big reception. Then I remember seeing a photo of you and Dad outside of a car, getting in the car
Yes.
to drive to your honeymoon.
To Grand Hotel, Point Clear.
And that became sort of a
Then
go-to
we'd go
place
back
for
on
you and Dad.
anniversaries. Remember on our 50th, we took the whole family,
Oh, yeah.
grandchildren and all.
2003, I think that was, right? That would have been 50 years.
We were married 62 years when Pop died.
But in 2003, was that the 50th? you were married in 1953.
53, yeah.
So yeah,
It would have been, yeah.
Yeah, that was a grand time at the Grand Hotel.
That was fun.
That was beautiful.
We went back for many anniversaries.
Yeah. You and Dad did a number of fostering opportunities.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Well, as you know, we had 4 of you all in 5 years. Jay, you, Ann, and Mary Beth. And then we had Ruth and Jan, who died right after they were born. I had RH negative fat, and one had a bad heart and died during the blood change, and then Jan died right after she was born. So when Mary Beth was about 5, Dad was working at WDSU as program director, and he said, look at the TV at noon. It was a midday show. Terry Fletcher, Wayne Mack, all of that.
Yeah.
And she said, watch it today. We have the director of the Children's Bureau coming on, talking about fostering. And so we watched it, and we talked about it. We said, let's try that. So we went through all kind of interviews. You all had to be interviewed, that you knew the baby was just coming. A newborn was coming but not staying. They were going to be adopted. So we started doing that, and we had 18. We did 18 of them, and then I got pregnant for Ellen, your younger sister. And they brought her on 6 weeks early, exchanged her blood 3 times, and Ellen now is 50 years old.
Right. She's a very successful teacher.
Well, she's a lawyer, a teacher,
in Houston area.
and a mother of 3 children.
And so did you go back and do
And then after Ellen was 5 years old, I had pictures of the babies on the wall
Right.
the day they left, and her friends would say, who are those children? And she said, those are my foster brothers and sisters, but I didn't know them. I wasn't born. So I said, Jerry and I said, well, let's try it again. And we did 3 with her, and then our parents needed our help more. So we
so
stopped.
total of 21 babies.
21 altogether.
Right. I remember
Newborns. You remember Michael.
I remember the ones that were on the house when I was there, and we would help you change diapers.
Oh, you all did everything.
You were diaper experts.
And you all.
And those were cloth diapers, by the way.
Yes, I know.
There were no Pampers
I'm
or
on the
anything
line.
like that. That's right.
No, we finally got it dry.
That was a real diaper back then. I know. Whoa, that was. I think that was a rehearsal for anybody wanting to be a dad or a mom.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you're right. All right, let's go to Saints. Dad did the Saints for 44 years, never
Right.
missed a game,
And
446 games,
and
which
you
means you probably never missed a game.
No, when you all were little, I'd stay home with the youngest. But then when you all got a little older, remember we
You
would
went to a
all
lot of
go
them,
and
though.
sit in the games and with everybody, the families of the Saints.
Yeah, and you had to stay the whole game.
Oh yeah,
because that
I
was your
couldn't
ride.
leave. You left when you got older, but
Well, we had the prerogative, but
no, we stayed and we loved it. And then when Alan was born, I stayed home and then brought her when she was.
yeah, I know that was a magnificent
It
run
was
for
fun.
you and
Yeah,
Dad.
it was so much fun.
And then the Saints took you and Dad to Miami for the Super
Oh,
Bowl.
we went to the Super Bowl, definitely. That was wonderful. And to be there and, to be there and be a part of that. And we would be crying at the end, and a man in front of us was from New York, and he said, why are you all crying? Jerry said, if you wait as long as we have to get here, you'd be crying too. But that was a wonderful trip.
Yeah, and then a couple of years later, tell us about the time that they brought you and Dad to the Saints office and they presented Dad something special.
Oh, yeah, they presented him. They had thought that, I think the Bensons thought Daddy had gotten a ring at the Super Bowl, but they didn't, and he was just happy to go to the Super Bowl. He wasn't worried about the ring. But our oldest son, your brother Jay, works for the Saints 49 years now, and he got his ring, so Jerry was happy with that. So one day, Mr. Benson realized when he retired, Dad retired, had to retire, he
retired from announcing for the Saints.
announcing. And then they had us over there, and all the family was there, and they presented him with his ring. So he was thrilled with that.
It's a great day. Yeah. Remember, Coach Peyton was there.
Kate was
Vicky
there.
Loomis was there.
Everybody was there.
Yeah.
Dennis
Ms. Benson, Dennis Lauscha.
Mr. and Miss Benson.
Yeah.
We have a picture of Dad and Mr. Benson in their wheelchairs.
Very
In their
special.
picture.
You're wearing a very important medal around your neck.
Regina Mottram Medal.
Regina Mottram. Describe to our viewers what the Regina Mottram is.
Regina Mottram is a medal given yearly since 1947 it started. So this would be 80th year, I think, or whatever. But anyway, to a mother in the Archdiocese who is not only a good Catholic, but she has children, and she's been active in her church and the school and with the children and in the community. And it's given every year. Committee nominates them, someone nominates them, and then the committee votes. And I was fortunate in 1977 to have received this. And this would be, I think it's almost the 80th year that it started.
Wow. And you have been, this is like your 50th anniversary of getting it.
It would be.
Well,
Next year, huh?
Next year.
Next year,
Yeah.
on 27, yeah.
And I know you help organize the event every year.
Well, not the event.
The luncheon.
We have decided years ago, a group of us decided to have a luncheon the week before the award with the honoree of that year. And we have mass and lunch, and they get to know each other. So we've been doing that.
That's great.
It's great.
So who's your favorite child?
My favorite child? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I can't say that. I'll tell you here with me now, say you are, but that's not
You know I had to ask.
Yeah, I know. You don't have a favorite. And don't ask me the favorite grandchild either.
Oh, a great-grandchild. I know.
Right now it's Mason.
You've got one of them with you. Anything else you want to share with us?
Well, I don't know what else I can say except that one time
You look wonderful, by the way. I love the blouse.
You told me to wear something bright, Mark, and I did. But at the time Dad died, he was president of the Sugar Bowl, and that year ABC, who did the Sugar Bowl at that time, took us to the Olympics in
yes.
Calgary. And that was a wonderful experience to be at that. We got to see every event, and they flew us there. They dressed us in a whole outfit, and it really was wonderful. That was wonderful.
That's beautiful. That's great. Well, Mom, I love you so much.
Oh, I love you, Mark.
Thank you.
I can't say you're my favorite.
I was trying to get that out of you, Mom.
I have 5 favorites.
Thank you. And
You're my grocery man on a Saturday.
that's right. David and I
You
do
and
the
your David
groceries.
keep
That's right.
do my groceries.
Well, you're such a big part of my life and everyone else's life in the family. And we'll be celebrating with you this coming Sunday.
Right, I'll be there.
That's right. That's Mother's Day. And so help me wish everyone Happy Mother's Day from here. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Mother's Day.
Mom, I've got
Especially-
something special for you, too.
Oh, gosh.
We know you love yellow roses,
gosh.
so we've got some yellow roses for you.
Thank
as
you,
well.
Mark.
I'll give them to you when
Okay.
when we go
You
off
know
the
I
air.
love yellow roses.
Thank
Your
you.
dad always gave me yellow roses.
All right, everybody. Happy Mother's Day from the Mark Romig Show.
Happy Mother's Day.
All right, now for This Week in New Orleans, we're going to go to April Dupree like we do each and every week. April, we've got Mother's Day this weekend. Where can we go celebrate?
Thanks so much, Mark. Here's where to eat, drink, and play this week in New Orleans. Whether you're celebrating mom, a mother figure, or holding space for someone you miss, this Mother's Day is a time to slow down, show up, and spread love around the table. If you're going all out, the Four Seasons is serving a full riverfront brunch experience with seafood, carving stations, and all the classics. The Windsor Court takes a more curated approach with a multi-course menu that lets you build your own perfect brunch, from crispy chicken and waffles to blue crab benedict and a sweet finish. Delacroix is another solid option. They're doing seafood and grits in all the right ways, with shrimp, catfish, and even soft-shell crab. For a table that likes to share and try a little bit of everything, Shia is always a good call. And if you're looking for something easy and reliable, there's always Luke. Seafood, classic brunch favorites, and a space that just works for a Sunday like this. If you need a plan outside of eating and drinking, there's a lot more happening around the city these days. The French Market has programming all week long. Cooking demos happen Thursday and Friday from 12 to 1, and live music picks up Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday starting at 2 p.m. For our morning people, morning yoga at Oscar Dunn Park happens Wednesday from 6:45 to 7:45 a.m. For a night out, Killers of Kill Tony is Saturday nights at the Sanger Theater. Expect quick sets, big energy, and a whole lot of laughs. And in theater this week, The Firebird with the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra takes the stage Thursday at the Orpheum Theater, and Cinderella by the New Orleans Ballet Theater arrives there on Saturday. For more information on where to eat, drink, and play this week, visit neworleans.com. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, April. And now for something positively New Orleans. In a city as vibrant, dynamic, and alive as New Orleans, public safety is not just a function of government. It is the foundation that allows our culture, our neighborhoods, and our people to thrive. Every day, across 73 unique neighborhoods, the women and men of the New Orleans Police Department put on the badge and step forward with courage, commitment, and a deep sense of duty. They are there in the quiet moments and in the most challenging ones, responding to not only emergencies, but building trust, strengthening relationships, and standing as the guardians of the community. And under the leadership of Chief Ann Kirkpatrick, the department continues to move forward with a focus on accountability, professionalism, and service. Leadership matters, and it shows in the dedication and resolve of the officers who serve this great city. And as the chief said, the police force is looking for more folks who see this noble profession one in which they can embrace and excel. But public safety in New Orleans is truly a team effort. We are equally grateful for our partners in the Louisiana State Police, whose presence and support extend across our region, and for the extraordinary professionals in the emergency medical services and brave members of our New Orleans Fire Department, who answer the call at a moment's notice, often running toward danger when others are running away. Together, these first responders form a network of protection that allows New Orleans to respond to any emergency or disaster, host world-class events like Super Bowls and collegiate playoffs and championships, welcome visitors from around the globe, and celebrate the traditions that make us who we are. Whether it's a major festival, a neighborhood gathering, or the everyday rhythm of life as we sit on the stoop and share with each other, they are there, steady, vigilant, and ready. So this week and every week, we offer our sincere gratitude and respect to all who serve. They serve us. They sacrifice for us. For their resilience, their unwavering commitment to protecting the people of New Orleans, we thank them. We honor them, and we stand with them. And that's Positively New Orleans. That's our show for this week. Thanks to our incredible guests and to all of you for watching and listening. And a special thanks to our sponsors, Blue Runner Foods, New Orleans & Company, our friends at Visit the North Shore, and their podcast, All the Waves. Go check it out. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for all of our new videos. We'll see you next week.